Hey friends, this is Annie F. Downs here sitting with Matthew West and Emily West. I had two more questions after we recorded our episode of That Sounds Fun podcast. It's mainly a complaint.
Okay.
Here's the first question. How many years have you been hosting the K-Love Fan Awards? How many years did you do that?
I think it's been 5 years I've done it.
Yeah. How many times have you given my award to someone else? Literally your voice.
But don't kill the messenger. What do they say? Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
I'm the host. It's a fan-voted award.
Yeah.
So-
Book of the Year.
Okay, so you're saying...
You gave it to Gary Thomas or Gary Smalley, one of the Garys.
One of the Garys?
He wasn't even there, Matthew. It was a video of him.
And you were there.
I was holding hands with my people.
Annie.
We were so excited.
Annie. Well, you know what they teach me to say every time I've not won a Grammy is... It's just an honor to be nominated. But I'm going to tell you, I'm hosting it again, and if I see your name as a nominee,
Just going in.
I will do everything within my power to make sure
Yeah, I was
that's
going to
the
say,
name.
would you have given it to me if you would have known me then and had the power?
Well, let me tell you, you deserve it.
Yes.
There's
Thank
no
you.
doubt about it. And they need to have a podcast category.
Oh, do you know, I actually think they do have one next year, a podcast category.
Oh,
Well,
I think
wait a minute.
We're hoping.
Let's just
I
say
know.
your odds just double.
Emily, yeah, that's right. The host is helpful. Emily, you love podcasts as well.
I do.
What else? So you like a lot of the crimey ones. What else are you listening to?
Cry me.
I think they've all been, because I
They're
just
all
started
crimey.
listening like in the last 3 or 4 months. They've all been crime.
Okay.
Dr. Death.
Yeah, I'm gonna start Dr. Death. Yeah, y'all got me on board with that one.
She's used up her quiet time with the Lord. And
Listening to Dr. Death.
Switching it out for crime pods. But you're in the middle of Up and Vanish.
Up and Vanished. What was the other one? Dr. Death and what was
They
the one we
all
just
sounded
said?
like
Kill John?
plots
Or
to murder me. Dirty John.
Dirty John.
John.
That one surprised me.
That, you know what? In light of the podcast we did together, Dirty John's a good one to listen to be reminded, like, don't pick the wrong person.
Exactly.
Like, don't
Exactly
settle.
right.
Yes.
That's exactly
if
right.
he
Go
wants
back.
to move in with you
Yeah.
on your second date,
This lady believed he was a doctor just because he always showed up for lunch wearing scrubs.
Yeah,
That he
which
had
is
bought at a supply store.
very easy
I
to
was like,
purchase.
oh my gosh.
There's a
you
lot
know?
more you need to learn. Apparently, it only takes 3 months, according to y'all's story, to
That's
learn
right.
everything you need to know.
That's right.
Okay, here's the last thing I want to ask you, and then we'll let you go. Give one piece of advice to our friends who are dating right now.
You want me to?
yeah, you go.
You have
Both
great
of you.
advice.
Both of you have great advice so far.
But you go first.
Oh, man. Well, first of all, what we talked about in our podcast, which I loved, that you said about praying specific prayers.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is, I'm going to approach this answer the way I'm trying to approach it with my daughters. It's just that just seek God first in your life. And I know that sounds like a cliche Christian answer, but
No, it's so good, though.
ultimately, He's the author of your story. He's going to lead your path, and He's going to put the right person at the right time in your path.
Yeah.
And the question is not, is God leading us? It's always, are we following Him? Are we paying attention to the signs? But ultimately to know that the Lord has that right person who's going to fit the missing pieces in your life and put them together.
That's good.
And I mean, like we talked about earlier on the podcast, stay true to yourself and what you want
Yeah.
and know what you want and
Don't settle.
don't settle.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the settling thing is such an interesting conversation because settling doesn't mean every single thing you've always thought you were going to marry
Right.
is different. Going like, well, I didn't know he was going to be from a different country. Well, I can't settle because I've always prayed for an American.
Right,
Pump
no.
the brakes.
Right.
You're like you're picking weird things to not settle
or
on.
in my daughter's case, an Australian.
Right.
Like she's got it in her head that there's going to be an Australian surfer who
Surfer.
comes into her life, like one of the
Won't he do
Hemsworth
it?
brothers.
Won't he do it? The Lord has got the power. I mean, there are enough Australians in Nashville in our world that it could be the offspring of one of our friends.
Exactly.
We just never know. You could have a small bone
Yeah,
son-in-law,
Well,
right?
these days we've been in favor of prearranged marriages just
for
because we're
sure.
so
And I'd have been in
scared
favor of the
for our
same
daughter's
thing.
future.
I wish y'all to set me up.
But you make a great point. It's like, man, when the greatest mistake, I shouldn't say the greatest mistake, but one of the big mistakes we can make in our spiritual journeys is to draw definitive borders around, one, how we think God should use us, two, how we think our lives should go. I mean, ultimately, the definition of being a follower of Christ is that you have given up the role as the leader.
As the leader.
Right?
Oh, that's good.
And so if you're going to choose, hey, I'm a follower of Christ, then it doesn't mean, but I'm going to keep my hands on the wheel just in case God doesn't know what's best for me. No, he always does. And so I've learned to I'm going to draw some lines, but I'm going to draw them in the sand.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a pencil.
Yeah.
Because this is what my hopes and dreams might look like, but I'm drawing them with a pencil, knowing that, hey, God, you've got the master plan, and you're going to come in, and ultimately, it's always going to be bigger, always going to be better. My dad always told me I love baseball, and he would say, your minor league dream is no match for God's major league dream.
That's
and I've
good.
always thought about that, going, okay, it's okay to have minor league dreams because that's as big as our minds can go.
That's right.
But knowing that God's plan is going to be way better.
Yeah. Who's your team?
Oh, well, it's not the Houston Astros right now because they got in big trouble.
Yeah, but previously it might have been the Houston Astros.
I grew up a Chicago Cubs fan because that's where I
Okay.
grew up. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Go Cubs go.
Yeah, so I'm a big
That's
baseball fan, and they finally won a World Series a few years ago.
did.
So
That
after
was
100 years of waiting, so now let that be a lesson to the dating conversation.
There
we're
you go.
having, that ultimately,
I'm fast on the track of waiting 100 years, so having a great time. Thanks for reminding us. So,
maybe I should have let that point lie. So
oh, you guys, thanks for doing this. I'm
you're
so
great.
grateful.
Thank you for having us.